Happy Monday, y'all. What's going on? I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly how high AMC price will go once the craziness starts. And nobody knows when, by the way, but it doesn't mean it's not coming sooner rather than later. And I'm going to share with you in this video why I think and I believe, you might regret not having much more shares when this whole thing starts. Why? Because I have some new crazy interesting thing to share with you in this current video. Look, if you look at AMC stock on Google, just Google AMC stock, all right? You have the share price here, and then underneath you'll have this tab with the top stories. And underneath here, you'll see articles like Share the AMC Insanity. Ape Cult hits its last stand at stock falters. This is from the New York Post. And then you have AMC's good news isn't actually all that good. And I'm pretty sure if you scroll down on more news here, you'll barely see 1% or even less than 1% of very positive news when it comes to AMC stock for the future. It might not be a surprise because as you can see here, we know that, hedge funds took over America's struggling newspaper industry. The newspaper industry is not only papers that are being sold paper-based. That was 19th century. That was 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. Now things have changed and everything is pretty much digitalized, all right? When you look at Yahoo Finance, you look at CNBC, you look at pretty much everything, New York Post, everything is digitalized, all right? Now, why did they took over? First of all, because this was a struggling business even before the pandemic started. But what is really interesting, it is that when you see here, since 2004, about 1,800 US newspapers have closed. They struggled to make money with the collapse of print advertising and as readership moved online. All right, then the digital advertising market quickly became dominated by tech companies like Google and Facebook. Now, this is where it gets juicy, folks. Today, some of the largest newspaper groups in the country, such as Tribune or McClatchy or Media News Group, are owned, controlled by, or in debt to hedge funds or private equity groups. In fact, hedge funds and other financial firms control half of daily newspapers in the United States, according to a recent analysis by the Financial Times. This is a research, so fact-based, conducted by the Financial Times, the FT. So it's something to take seriously. Now, why will companies in financial space, why would investment firms and hedge funds took over media? Because of course, there's money to be made, but there's also some type of control to have, because the media is what we call the fourth power. If you want to control minds from people, if you want to control people's mind, if you want to kind of have control over the narrative around something, around any topic, politics, economics, finance, social, whatever, if you can kind of put it out there in a sort of form or shape you want it to get out there and do it through media, then you're a winner, all right? Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. When you open such articles, all right, either they don't know at all what they're talking about, or they don't have the facts. Because when you have people like Charles Gasparino, why am I not surprised he's the guy behind this article, such an article? It doesn't matter. The AMC cult begins with an odd theory that shares are secretly controlled by a cabal of evil hedge funds that want to put the company out of business by illegally shorting the stock. In a regular short sale, a trader borrows the stock, sells it, then hopefully buys the stock at a lower price to return to the lender. Hedges, the conspiracy goes, take it a step further by magically creating fake or synthetic shares that put enormous downward pressure onto the stock. They had their way for years until the so-called AMC apes got involved. He's pretty much making a mockery out of the research and the facts, claiming exactly the opposite of what he's actually putting out here. When you jump into another article here from the Motley Fool, again, why am I not surprised? AMC's good news isn't actually all that good. And I think this is related to the news around preliminary fourth quarter results that were posted on February 1st. And even around the debt, which was another big bullish news for the company, they they barely talked about it. All right. So for some reason, they actually want to only focus on the negative, the bad news, and even good news aren't that all that good. Well, it's not a coincidence because if I am control over a newspaper and I'm a hedge fund, there is actually a very hard way for that newspaper not to do what I want them to do, what I want them to write about, what I want them to post out there, publicly or privately, through blogs, YouTube channels, media outlet in general. Why? Because I am the owner. If they don't, I can resell the company for a penny and they will lose everything. So I guess that's why the DOJ started this whole investigation a couple of months ago around short selling firms and their allies. Highlight allies word here because allies can refer to not only research companies, but also media outlet, because there is a scheme out here. If you don't know how it works, let me brief you quickly. Well, when a short seller, hedge fund usually, because that's how they make a lot of money, want to short sell a stock, want to short a stock, what do? They start short selling the stock. But in order to give them momentum, in order to make it real, even though it might be fake, well, what do? They go and pay a research firm or work together with a research firm. All right. And the research firm will put a tweet, a note, an analysis out there, kind of much saying we are shorting AMC stock, for example, or we are shorting XYZ stock for these reasons. Because they are supposed to be professionals, a research firm like Citron, they actually get people backing that by also selling the stock. I guess that's why back in early 2020, the FBI decided to seize, from the home of prominent short seller Andrew Leff, the founder of Citron research firm, in early 2021. Some people said, why? Because by doing so, you actually, if I want to invest in stock which is already falling, what do I do? I'm putting, AMC stock on risk. I'm researching to see exactly should I hold or should I sell. But when I stumble upon bad news like this, it doesn't give me confidence into holding, but give me confidence into selling. And by selling, all the other investors, especially retail, will actually be able to put so much more down pressure onto the stock price, hence falling even much more down. And on top of that, you have the media outlet like these guys, spreading also oil into the fire in order for it to kind of spread again like fire. Why? Because the more you have people, supposedly, media outlet professionals talking about it, well, the more confident the investors, whether they're retail or no, will be able to continue to sell. And that's how they can make a lot of money from $100 to probably $20 a share, because usually by doing so, because it's a scheme, they work together, it's a no-brainer for them until things changed. So it's not a coincidence that the DOJ is actually looking into all of these things to make it stop, because this is totally illegal. All right. And that's how this whole investigation thing and what the SEC and other agencies going all the way up to the White House are now saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We have to stop this whole thing, because otherwise it's going to be a cancer to the market, to the US market, which is not good for the economy. It's not good for society. It's not good for everyone. So it has to stop. So that's why when actually reading between the lines here and you know what is coming, because in the last 1 or 2 months, things are going to change for these guys. And it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to continue to put up such schemes. And that's why finally AMC can start doing what it's supposed to do. So not financial advice, but you already know. I'll see you in the next one, folks.